We haven't done one of these in a while. I guess well, it's funny. Somebody says, hey, you should do a podcast. I go, yeah, that's what the fucking videos are for. And they're like, no. Like where there's just audio. I go, you can't listen to a video? Like, it's the same fucking thing. Like, yes, they do. Joe Rogan does the podcast on Spotify, but that was the great thing about YouTube, was seeing the reaction and also, you know, real brief editing. Not, I want to say editing, but just directing. Probably Jamie was doing it, cutting the camera back and forth to, you know, either who's speaking or Joe. But I prefer the videos better. I think there's more content there. And so, and somebody was arguing like, well, Patrick, that, you know, you don't really do much in your videos. And I go, would you just shut up and listen to the fucking podcast that I'm calling a podcast? Like, shut the fuck up. It's the dumbest thing in the world. It's just, I'm passing information that I think is important or entertaining, and you can just enjoy it, or you can just shut the fuck up. That's it. That's really the only two choices that you have. If you complain, you're looking a gift horse in the mouth. Okay. If you don't know what that means, Google it. It's basically well, I tell you to Google it and then I explain it. So I didn't know what it meant either, but my parents are actually both from Kentucky. My mom is from Lexington. And if you ever visit Lexington in that area, there's a lot of horse farms, high-end, super, you know, Arabian type of horse things. So Arabian horses, they tattoo on their gums to, you know, whatever, certify that they're an Arabian horse. And so the saying is, like, if you have a winner, right? If you have a winning horse, don't look a gift horse in the mouth to make sure that they're, you know, purebred or Arabian or something like that. Get it? Just be grateful for what you get. Okay. Your life will be so much better if you just do that. That goes back to what I used to say a lot, which was lower your standards, lower your expectations, right? That's the easiest thing to do, is have really high expectations either on yourself or worse, other people. When your expectations get too high, you fail a lot. Maybe lower your expectations. It's like being in a concentration camp and then think about going to the moon. Let's focus on eating. Do you see what I'm saying? It's about having priorities. So, but I picked up these from Target today because I looked on Amazon first, and their shirts were cheaper. I only had to buy one, maybe two, and they were like $4 or $5. They're really affordable. But it was like, this will be at your house in 13 days. I'm like, I don't have 13 days. So my father-in-law's funeral is on Saturday, and I'm gonna dress nice, or at least nicer than I usually do. It's actually pretty conservative, but I'm dressing in all black. And I'm not going to make a scene. I'm not going to speak up. I will make maybe some small, even making small jokes, I probably will not do it. Even though I like, as a, I would say as a child of abuse, but as a child that has PTSD, again, I use humor to deal with uncomfortability, you know, the elephant in the room, that sort of thing. Because I think of when people just shut up about stuff, it's like almost super ridiculous. So, but what I'm, you know, what I don't want to say realizing, because I already knew it. That's why I was making the jokes. I'm doing my best to honor other people's reality on how they want to spend it. Okay. What does that mean, Patrick? Well, what that means is, like, if people aren't telling jokes, don't tell jokes. And even if they are telling jokes, maybe not tell jokes. Know your audience. This audience that I will mingle with here on Saturday, a lot of them don't like me. And I finally saw a video that explains why. And I don't want to get into that now, but it brought me a bunch of relief. To know that I'm not the crazy one, and that I'm, you know, if anything, what I do is I just simply am more vocal and articulate about things that I observe. And I'm not afraid to speak up about them. which is fine for my personal life, for this YouTube channel, which that sort of thing is fine, but not in some circles. So, and I found that out with the Phoenix comedy community. I was rejected by the majority of people, and there was many people that like me and do appreciate me, but they don't let it known that they like and appreciate me in public because they are cowards. That's putting it mildly. And I've seen this also in car audio. There's a lot of people that decided to step away from my presence, that I'm radioactive, and I'm like, fuck you, fuck all you. So, which is fine, and that's been my style. Is again, that style is great if I'm burning bridges and I don't mind it, which I don't, in the most part. But you know, as my well, she wasn't I think she was a psychologist, maybe, but she was a lieutenant, and she gave me my test in the Air Force, and she didn't say that I was bipolar, even though I was, and they knew it. She just said, you know, you're better off getting out of the military. And I was like, okay. But you know, whatever. Again, she said that I had the personality to run my own business and to do my own thing. I was like, you betcha. So I just, again, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. I got out a year early. With an honorable discharge. I even had my GI Bill, which is a total ripoff, by the way. Don't subscribe to that. It's junk. There are other ways to learn now. So, yeah, anyways. But I wanted to do a little bit of politics, even though people tend to not tune in for politics. But one of the characters I find really fascinating is Ginny Thomas. If you don't know who Ginny Thomas is, that's the wife of Judge Clarence Thomas of the Supreme Court. And she's a bit of a maniac. And I am so looking forward to the moment where she just loses her shit and starts outing reptilians that are within the population and just revealing all the secrets of the government and the earth and all this kind of stuff. So, I don't know. I just, if you're not watching the whatever it is, January 6th investigations, hearings, things like that, I don't have time to watch that, but I just hear the snippets and things like that, and I find it. There's somebody's doing they did like a montage of all the people that were at the insurrection, whatever, riot, the protest, the protest that gathered government property and then tried to take it home as a souvenir. There's a montage that I saw of people getting arrested at the airport and throwing tantrums and just, you know, having just falling apart into pieces. Oh, what do you mean there's consequences? Everything in moderation. Okay. So if you hate the government, welcome to the club. Again, and I'm actually looking forward to more like anarchy videos. Now, when I say anarchy, what I'm really talking about is somebody that's committed to living a free and productive life without the bureaucracy that gets in our way. So again, I don't recommend anarchy for the weak and the timid and for the uneducated. Not that I'm educated by any means, but, and that's why I really don't like to preach about things like that. And I really don't like to get into politics. Mostly because it's a fool's errand, and it's also a distraction. So somebody else was, I have a lot of people that I either subscribe to or follow, or, you know, they follow me or whatever, and they love Trump and things like that. And somebody had suggested that, Trump was finally going to get his due, from the insurrection. And I was like, that is what's classic about Trump, is that, you know, the way that he treated the whole thing was like, if you guys are successful, then I'll say thumbs up. But if you guys are not successful, and of course, this is the part that he doesn't say, if you guys aren't successful, I will pretend that you're not there. and that you guys are out of control, and I didn't say anything. That's really what it is. And then of course later on when he's not that he's sorry, but he just was like, I didn't support that, until he finds another opportunity to make himself look good. And then, you know, then it's like, the things I'm going to do are huge. So, but it's just, it's kind of funny to see, not him squirm, but just to see the consequences of Trump not doing what the Illuminati told him to do. There you go. That's for the QAnon fans. I wanted to address something that is in my life. And okay, so this is real simple. This looks like, this is just a really frilly pen to me. And my wife loves pens. She loves very elaborate gel and I got it here. Let me show you real quick. So this is a room that is dedicated to my wife's hobbies. And it contains thousands and thousands of dollars worth of materials and hours of time. And it makes us $0. Right? They're like, well, hobbies are supposed to be like, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I was able to turn my hobby into something fun and productive. So, of course, there's the speakers. I showed you those to use. But where is it? Oh, yeah. So she has this is stashed, right? Collections and collections of pens. She loves pens. There, and this is, I'm sure there's more stored away. This is crazy. And they, you know, and that's not including the marker collections, you know, and then the highlighters and then all the other stuff. So, but this is her stuff. And, you know, I did my best to be supportive of my spouse and maybe encourage her to be more creative. She used to make, you know, Christmas cards and Halloween cards, all this kind of stuff, and not so much anymore. So the reason I showed you that was to talk about being practical, to doing the best with what you got, and again, being grateful for what you have instead of wishing for more. My wife wishes for all the pens in the world. And that's one of in fact, one of the requirements that I make of her is to have a plain, boring, you know, Bic or whatever it is. Again, this is something else I'm not going to use. And I don't even know how to use it. There we go. Is that it? Is that it? I don't even know. Don't even know. To me, it's useless. And to me, this represents the same thing as like fashion. You know, something that's esoteric that you cannot use. It's very pretty to look at. But what's funny is I hear very young people. I don't want to say young people because it's really immature people, inexperienced and immature people that have not suffered loss or have to do without. They say things like, Uncle Patrick, because it's typically my nieces, Uncle Patrick, you don't know what life's about. Life is about, you know, like fun and all that. And I was like, no, sweetie. Life is about plain black t-shirts. Not the fucking fancy V-neck, plain black t-shirts. It's about function. It's about getting the job done. And all this other extracurricular stuff, like the purple and that. This is even a pencil. It's not even a pen. When I left the military, somehow, like 2 boxes of those government pens that are made by Sealcraft made it into my belongings. I don't know how they got there, but I was yearning for the days of those pens because my wife and I used to have a bunch of them. And, you know, they dry out like any other pen, and they're not magical or anything like that, even though people used to steal them from the post office all the time. And they actually say U.S. government on them and things like that. But I actually looked it up. I go, whatever happened to that, you know, that company? Because I don't see those things anymore, things like that. But you can buy them for $20 each. $20 each for just a really basic writing utensil off of Amazon. The best price I found was $15. And there was no like price break for multiples or anything like that. And what was really great was there was like, I saw one that was for like $12 or $13, but it was like blue. Like, who the fuck uses blue ink? Fuck you. fuck you and your blue ink pens and your red ink pens. There's only one color, and that's black. And that's the only one that matters. So, but I wanted to encourage people to be more practical. Now, I know that I'm definitely not preaching to the choir, to you guys that are maniacs and love car audio. And there's a way to integrate high performance audio and your love of that performance and feeling the music into your everyday life without it taking over and without it, and again, it comes through managing your OCD and managing your past traumas. That's actually where a lot of OCD comes from, is that you haven't managed or dealt with your past traumas. You basically have PTSD. And again, there's hope, and you just got to do more work than just enjoying the fruits of your labor, like getting drunk or high and sitting in your car and just feeling the bass. That is not fucking productive. That's just as productive as, actually, it's less productive than playing video games online, because at least you're socializing and calling each other the N-word and swatting each other on online games. But be practical. I do my best to be practical with God, which is that it doesn't matter whether you believe in God. What matters is he going to make a difference in your everyday life? No. So why spend any time worshiping him or praising him or setting money aside for him? Now, I'm not saying don't give to charity. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, the Bible has some pretty good advice about that, which is to tithe in secret. Let that be your secret life. Don't tell anybody about that. That's something just for you. That's a little secret treasure. And also the same for patriotism. So patriotism is a weird thing, and I've been exposed to a lot more videos on TikTok about people hating the American flag, and I'm like, well, the problem is that it's a flag, it's a symbol. It can mean anything you want it to mean. And I'm talking specifically about the American flag with 50 stars and 13 bars and stripes, whatever. The regular flag that you get that was made in China and you buy at Harbor Freight for $5. That one. There's a bunch of people that like hate it and all this. It's like, again, the government is not it's not your enemy. They're the enemy of everyone. It's not personal. And if you really want to make a difference, the best thing you do is make billions of dollars and then have a big corporation that rapes the earth and then makes policy. That's if you really want to make changes. The other way is to do exactly what I've been doing, and that's what Robot Underground is. Robot is word for slave, and underground is for secret. It's for secret underground slave hangout for you guys to get education on how to be patient and sure that, if you're going to have an insurrection, like, have some commitment. I was really disappointed by the numbers. And also, I didn't get any notices about it. I was like, what? Who's this? I'm like, I'm white. Like, where is my white folk telling me about this stupid insurrection? I'm like, I didn't hear anything about it. I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world. I was like, this is just like an overgrown riot. But then when people died, that's a different story. When people tried to take home trophies, that's a different story. And also, when you mess with the bull, you're going to get the horns. And a lot of people are getting the horns. Even that guy that was wearing the horns, he was getting the horns. But back to being practical. Be practical in audio. Work with what you have and make the best of it. And don't let other people shame you about, your brands that you choose or that you inherit or have or whatever. And if you want something better, I always wanted to give you a means in order to upgrade. And you can use that system for any type of subject, like whether it's gunsmithing or politics or construction or whatever. Do right by other people, do good work, do your research. Sometimes you'll have to work for cheap so while you're learning. The best thing that you can do, though, is just help other people. One of the other things I was talking about, or somebody had asked me about, was, well, what about your health, Patrick? And I was like, well, also in moderation. So what you don't realize is that there are people watching this video that will die later today. That's a fact. So enjoy your life while you have it. Don't sit there and punish yourself. You're like, I'm only going to eat broccoli and chicken breasts or whatever, egg whites or something stupid. That punishment, okay, you're like, well, I want to sacrifice and I want to see the payoff for the sacrifice. Again, use some common sense, use some reason, be practical. It's not going to happen overnight. Small changes, or back to, what was it? Small Moves, Ellie. Small Moves. That's from Contact, which is a fabulous movie, by the way, with Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey from the 90s. Oh. Yes. Oh, I'm not supposed to say died because, well, I think you can't say dead or died in TikTok videos because of the censorship. So you say unalive, which I find hilarious. Like, okay. So you're supposed to say unalive, just so you know. It's this weird censorship that's on TikTok. The only thing that I don't really, I think practical is good, but sometimes overindulgence is good. Basically, the only thing that I would overindulge in is motorboating. And I don't mean boats. I mean big, delicious boobies. You know, you can also motorboat the labias. I know it's called labia minora, but that's really the treat of the vagina. Is the beef curtain. Now, if you guys don't know your vaginas, which of course I've already let you know that I am the Clip Master General, and there's the camel toe, right, which is the outer. I don't even call them lips, because they're really just kind of humps, bumps, camel toes. Now, some girls, it's not all, have these beef flaps that are called the labia minora, and they are delicious and wonderful. And you can motorboat them all day long, depending on the girl or whatever, trans girl, whatever, I don't care, that has them. That would be great, though, if a guy got his dick split in half and then brought up his sack and then turned it into super big beef curtain and then, like, got it, like, not tattooed. I've seen some girls get their labia studded with diamonds and shit like that. Like weird shit. That's from the 90s. You guys wouldn't know. But anyways, that's what I encourage you guys to do. Make lots of babies. Gonzo sends his words to shoot big creamy ropes on or about the vagina, and you know, go forth and multiply. So I don't want to just make this about me and my stuff and my lifestyle, even though I got these little small for me, which is extra large. I'm totally a double X guy, and sometimes right now, like, I'm wearing a triple X, because that's my lifestyle. It's triple X. I live a Vin Diesel lifestyle. I need something tight that's going to fit underneath the shirt that is not distracting, and I didn't want to wear white because then it makes me look like a priest. So, but I wanted to show you this. This is the Magic Book. It still exists in this form if you order it, but probably they won't order it. It depends on who your rep is and who you contact. So my rep used to be Alice, which I heard was one or the owner's wife, which I'm like, no, she was kind of she was not so friendly, but I think that's just general women in China that deal in a men's dominated field. That's all. And again, it's not personal to me. I know that's just the way that it is, and that's the way they feel like they need to be. I don't feel like they need to be that mean, and I think actually flirting and not flirting, but just being nicer will do. Well, I got to see from their perspective, which is that if sometimes when you're nice to a man, he takes advantage of you, or he thinks he can take advantage of you, which is worse. And so anyways, whatever, that's the policy of a lot of the things. And I don't deal directly with XY anymore. You typically want to go through a broker. Now the term broker, there's no official broker, but what you want to do is go through a company that says that they can deliver, speaker products. If you're going to order speaker stuff. I also wanted to bring to your attention, if you have, I don't know, 10 grand to blow and you want to visit China, there is a show. Last time I checked, it was in Hong Kong, and it's in like the middle of October typically. mid to late October, middle of October, in Hong Kong. That is the Speaker Parts Manufacturer Show. So it's not like it's a convention like CES. CES is just too big now. It's too broad. But this is for specifically speaker parts manufacturing. And of course, XY is the largest speaker parts manufacturer. The second runner-up is Tianli, who makes some really good products and is a little more innovative. But XY is the standard. And I wanted to talk about, well, what I can do is I can show you in this. Of course, a lot of it is in Chinesium, blah, blah, blah. We're so awesome, blah, blah, blah. And they are. What's funny is I think I talked about this before. XY's, this is, okay, so this is called, Zhang Yang is the name of the company. So I'll do that as what is it? The thumbnail. Zhang Yang, also known as XY, is the largest speaker parts manufacturer in the world. They don't necessarily do assembly, but they're the ones that own all the tooling and the machines, a lot of them, and I mean a lot of them. One of the things that they bragged about is having the world's largest cafeteria. But, you know, you got a lot of workers, you need a big cafeteria. But I thought that was a funny thing to brag about. So, but, you know, priorities in China are different than priorities here in America. But I wanted to briefly go through these to show you the model numbers. So the first number is going to be the size, and then the second number is the series. Now, sometimes you can add something else like this, what this is called this diamond cut, when really it's like a diamond carbide blade where they put this on a lathe and then they spin it, and then they just trim off part of the outside to give it like what's called diamond cut finish. And you can get it smooth, you can get it with grooves, there's all kinds of things. I think I've talked about this on, who was it? Like the Soundstream SPLX frame, also known as the Tarantula frame. That is not an open tool frame. You need to ask permission. I think the owner is Epsilon. And so you may have to use Epsilon as your importer. Of course, you got to do really big numbers if you want that. And then NVX, who is, oh God, I just forgot his name. Nathan, the owner of Sonic Electronics, their house brand, which is called NVX. They imported some woofers using the SPLX frame, the Tarantula frame, and they did a diamond cut finish, which makes it look really, really nice. Somebody, I was asking for the TI frame if they can do a diamond cut on the TI frame, and they said they couldn't, but I think they just don't want to. So, and some stuff, you know, they're going to charge you more, whether or not, again, it depends on how much money you want to spend and how committed you want to be to the look of the end loudspeaker. And then after you invest all that time and money, you got to get a return on investment. And so, but again, it's got to sell. If it just sits in your warehouse, it's not selling. So that's where you get sort of, I have learned to get more flexible about simply what is available, what is being turned out right now. And it's easier for them to extend a production run than it is to change tools. The mold, the die, these are all injection molded, by the way. So, and they have there's a video about that. I think Russell Wong was showing videos about it, and that's at the XY factory. And I think at the time they were doing the 12-spoke frame. But anyways, which, if you guys know, that's the 694 frame. There's a lot of part numbers you'll recognize and you'll memorize. So, of course, this is the 701 series. This is a different version of the 701. This is showing that this is the 10-inch version, this is the 12-inch version, and then this is a diamond finish, and then this is a non-diamond finish, just powder coat. So, and then there's the next series, which is the 620, and that's a different version of the 620, but they're showing it in a different size. Sometimes the tooling does change slightly depending on, because remember, a lot of these, the way that they make it into the catalog is sometimes a brand will tool up a frame, and then I don't want to say it becomes abandoned, but it becomes an open frame for several reasons. Like the 12-spoke frame, from what I heard, was tooled up originally by Eminence, but they didn't really, at the time, care or know how to really secure that to be their frame. And so another brand that came up that used that frame exclusively for many, many years was RE Audio, Resonant Engineering. And they even made so much money that they even tooled up the 18-inch version, which is still owned by half by Mark and half by Scott. Scott went to Phi and uses it. And then what they both realized, I think especially Scott realized, was that you make a lot of side cash if you make that frame available, but you get paid a royalty for it. And it's only like $1 or $2 or something very affordable. But that money then, Scott would use to pay for more stuff to import. And it's just free money because people want to use that frame. They're going to use that frame. So, but stuff like this that's in manufacturing that is so popular and it's so difficult to control over in China. It's easier just to make an agreement with them that is profitable for everyone rather than taking it off the market and making it an exclusive frame. Now that's not for all cases. That's for typically a smaller company like, say, Phi. Now, for a larger company like, say, Kenwood or Sony actually doesn't give a shit. But let's say Kenwood or who's a big one? Like JL. That frame is very exclusive to them. So, but you also take another example like the cast frame from Sundown. Sundown had that tooled up, and then Scar came in and made a knockoff. They didn't make a knockoff with the same tooling company, but they probably paid tooling to just knock it off to say fuck you to Jacob. And then there's a couple variations on that as well. And I remember in 07 when I bought a bunch of parts from Tilo at TC Sounds. I didn't know he was going to file bankruptcy. I just knew that he had good deals, and I was trying to take advantage of them. Advantage of the deals, not of Tilo. I remember saying, somebody said that there was the LA Storm frame was available in an 18-inch version, and it actually is. But the problem is that it was poorly designed, which I don't like the LA frame anyway, the LA Storm frame. There's several problems on it, but one of the problems that they found was that it was weak in the base and weak in the spokes. The tooling had not been allowed to be thick enough, and then it's like there's the other problems with it, with the spider landing height and some other stuff. It was a mistake. So sometimes you want to let it go and you don't want to pursue that, the tooling or the cost in that. And there's a lot of R&D that you got to do. And there's a lot of stuff that is just sort of like lucky chances. So, but again, this is hearsay, not fact, about the tooling for the Sundown frame, was they just made it extra thick and extra strong and things like that. It's not removable by the way that Jacob and Sundown makes it. And but is it a good frame? Sure, it's great. I just don't like that it's not removable, and that's why I still prefer the TI frame over using the Sundown frame for high excursion big woofers. But let me finish up some of these. 627, 628, focus. There we go. And sometimes you'll see these 629. You'll see these in, and I really kind of want this to be part of the Audio Guts archive so that you guys can see, there's the Audiobahn, that's the Audiobahn one. That's the 657 frame, and it comes in, this is a 15, and then I think, some of them don't come in the 18. This one is used by several companies. That's the 656 frame. And again, this catalog is the catalog, meaning it's the industry standard. There are several other smaller companies, especially in the last 10 years, that have developed and have their own tools and their own frame. Some of them, like I think it was Hang Tai, they have the tooling for the JBL frame, but I don't think it's exclusive to JBL, so you can buy it. And there was somebody that imported them with woofers built, but again, I don't like that frame. I only I think I only like the 12-inch version, not the 15. Anyways, there's several reasons why I don't like it, but I don't care to use it. Even though on my that was like one of the first Gonzo woofers I made was with that frame, and it's on my or I should say it's not mine, the Robot Underground Cash App profile picture. So, but 658. And there's all the versions of it. Let me show you this other one. I haven't, this is the Lightning Audio used this, and there was another company that used this. Lightning Audio under Rockford management use this one. So, because I got some out there, but this is the diamond cut version. And then 668. When you're dealing, I call this one the JL frame because see the little JL logo? So I also don't like this one either, even though I have made removable top assemblies with that version and done some other work with it. When I used to order direct from these guys, I would order samples, and typically you want to order it, like 5 or 10 samples at a time, and they'll sell them to you if they have them in stock. But this is the one that PSI uses. Also, Sundown used it for a minute in their 8-inch woofers. PSI, also known as FixMySpeaker.com, which is David Moore, sells all different versions of that frame. This one, of course, is the 15, the 12, the 10, and the 8. So this one I've seen used by a Canadian company. I forget who else. I don't like it because the spider landing is too small, but that's the 671 series, and then the new 673. For some reason, that's a cast 6x9 frame. And there's that one. I don't know what that is. 673. I've never seen that one in real life. And sometimes you can get it without the holes. Sometimes they add that afterwards at a machine shop or something like that. This, we have a shit ton of the 8s out there if you want to buy those. That is the 674 frame. So, and that's, 200 is the 8-inch. That's the one. So 200, 674, I have a bunch of. And then, of course, you've seen that one a lot. That one's used by, it was used by a lot by Audioban, and they did a chromed up version of it. That is the concept frame. It even says the concept right there. You can see it. But that, I'm sure that's open tool now. Or, again, they pay a royalty to Concept in order to use it. Sometimes you can also ask if you can get it without the badging built into it. And probably by this time, if you ordered, say, 500 of these, they would do it for you. Otherwise, if you do only 100 or 200, they'll charge you like an extra $500 to take it out or something like that. So that's this one is, of course, used as a PA frame a lot. The 675 frame, 679. That's the concept. There's the Audioban version, the 680. Let's see, was that? That is it's a little different than the 675. That is, I've seen that one used by Audioban and several others. Again, I don't like this one either because the spider landing is too small for the coils that I use anyway. So that's the 15-inch version, 12, 681, 684. That we have a ton of 10s and 12s, the 685 frame. 684. For some reason, I put a star next to it. I think I just liked it. Oh, this one, yeah, the 684 frame is not open tool, but it shows it in the catalog. Yeah, because I actually had a sample of this. I like this one, but they were saying that it's not open tool. Even though the 684 looks a lot like the 681, but it's not. And it also looks like the 680. But again, it's not. So 685A. Sometimes there is an A or B version. You'll see that in the 689, which is the 4-spoke frame. And then, of course, here's the 686, which, there we go. You've seen that. I have these too, this one, in 8-inch, which is the 200 millimeter version, which would be 680. No, they're calling this different. They're saying this is the 686 series, but then they're saying this is the 686 series. But I have this one in a, maybe it's a 7-inch, 166 millimeter. Maybe it's an in-between. I don't know. But I got those out there in the yard. Let's see. 687. 688. 688A. Sometimes it's just a terminal difference. Sometimes it's a spider landing difference. You can see the two. Sometimes it's an opening difference, like a voice coil opening difference. And again, that comes from consumer demand. It depends on how the consumer is using it. I know that there's a frame of the 689 frame. Let's go over here to the 10-inch. That's the 12-inch, and then here's the 10-inch. And they also did this one in a diamond cut, which Rockford did under the Brax brand. A diamond cut version, which looks really sharp. I really like it. And then, of course, they have newer versions, which were sometimes they're called 689A or 689B. This is the Sunfire one. This is the 8-inch version, but it's longer here. And it was used by Sunfire / TC Sounds to build the true Sunfire 8s. And also, Tilo did an 8-inch version for Eclipse. It only came in 4 ohm single voice coil, but it was basically the same woofer. I think they just chromed out the frames versus just plain black. Also, you can see the venting underneath the Spider. This one, I buy now a different version from a different company that has the venting underneath. And it uses a totally different part number, which is, I guess, good. It just tells you the difference. I also have some of these left. This is the 20-spoke 690 frame. And you can see the 12-inch and the 10-inch version. And then, of course, the 694. Yeah, this is the 694 frame. And there are several versions of this, depending on what size you get as well. Sometimes they're not offered by XY. Like I said, sometimes they're offered by another foundry that is like a niche or a designer foundry. Sometimes they're more willing to go into the cost of tooling, just because it's like 1, maybe 2 dudes doing all the work, like a family of people working there. Yes, children. Yes, children helping out. 694, 697, 698. I'm only going to do this for a couple minutes more because really only the good stuff is in the front of the catalog. And I don't recommend getting the paper one. Don't bother them about this. I don't like this version because it limits you on the motor diameter because it basically wraps around the magnet. Because you'll find later when you want to upgrade it, you need, and then of course this is the 21 that everybody gets, and 21 and 24. This is 15, that's 18, and then they make a 21 and a 24 version. Let's see if they're listed here. Right there, 535 of the 775 version, and then that's it. That's as big as it gets. That's the 21. I think there's also a 24-inch version. It looks very similar as far as the stylings go. And then it starts getting into your oddballs. I'll pick up some of these part numbers so you can see them. This is a home audio one that's truncated on the sides of the frame so it can fit better in the enclosure. Sometimes it, again, it depends on several other factors. This is the 642 frame. You see this from Lord of Bass. That's what they use on their 8s. I like this one a lot as well. And of course, there's the kicker frame, but it's an older kicker frame, which they're more than willing to sell you. Again, the patent isn't on a square woofer that Kicker owns. It's on the pleats. So I remember having that conversation with David Moore when in January 06, he was showing me the new XXX that has the modular frame and moves fucking 4 inches or whatever. And at that time had an XBL motor, but it was like overhung. And I said, because they were worried about the indentations that you get on the surround when you get really high excursion. And I said, well, why don't you use pleats? And he goes, and that's when David told me about the patent that Kicker owns. They don't own the idea of a square woofer. It's just the pleats in the corner that make a square woofer possible. Does that make sense? So you don't have to own a patent for the whole thing. It can just be for one feature like that. So, but again, at the time, that patent may be expired by now. I don't know. I don't see anybody else using pleats in their stuff except for maybe like a Pride woofer. I've seen that one that's a huge surround that has what looks like pleats, or mostly it looks like ribs, like if you buy a ribbed condom. And then, of course, here's the stamp steel. That's when you start getting into the stamp steel frames. Nothing wrong with stamp steel. In fact, it's still probably cheaper to do a double stamp steel frame that's laminated in the middle with like a tar or an asphalt-based material. Polk Audio was the first one to do it, and it actually comes out with a very strong, non-ringy. That's one of the things that manufacturers say they don't like about using steel frames, is that they tend to ring like bells. But that's what's funny, is that the aluminum frames ring as well. And in fact, that's how you tell if there's cracks in it. If there's a crack in it, it won't ring right. But if you even just gently brush a frame that's in good shape, it'll ring like a bell. There's the Lightning Audio one. I have it, or no, we got rid of all those. So, and then you start getting into the other stuff. I forget who that is. I want to say Rockwood or somebody like that used that frame. And, you know, then this is what you do. You don't have to go overseas to see all these frames. You can actually look at all these online. The trick is looking at the dimensions and what that means. And then also, you definitely want to order samples and then try stuff out. Like there's one, this is one I kind of like. That's I think a Dyer used on some of their stamp frame ones, a version of this. I recognize the bottom part, but not the top part. I like that frame, 33TE. Looks like a pretty, oh, see there, yeah, no, I still had some of these. We threw away a whole bunch of them at the move, and I scrapped them, and I regret it. But I like this one because it's a stamp frame, and the base is wide enough to handle the 5-inch bolt hole pattern, 127 millimeter. So, all right, we're at 45 minutes. Again, this one's really popular. Let me go through just the popular ones. 66C. You can go online and do all your own research. So I'm going to end there. So, and this thing goes for pages and pages and pages of just, you know, and they're all black. So, so you know how hard that is. I remember there's a, that's a racist joke, Patrick. No, there was this one time in, it was hilarious. Connie Chung at the time, who was, of course, married to Maury Povich. She used to be a news lady for NBC, and she decided to do a piece on finding her heritage the same way that, like, at the time, it was 90s, where black people wanted to find their heritage that goes back to Africa and find out what slave ship their ancestors are and stuff like that. So Connie Chung wants to sort of jump in on that. And so Connie goes to China to look, to look for her ancestors. And Connie's like, all Chinese people look alike. Which, of course, is the whitest thing to say, which really brings into perspective, what does being white mean? What does that really mean? Is it a skin color? Is it an attitude? Is it what does it mean? So I also saw something on Jordan Peterson's website talking about white privilege. He says, that's like the most racist thing you can say. So, and it is. So stop saying it. What was it? You know how like, well, like I don't want to even label the kind of person, the kind of people that do this, that say, oh, use my pronouns, they're, them, you know, Zazbot or whatever it is. And there's, I wish somebody would, or at least some white person would say, hey, use my proper surname or my pronoun, which is superior white master. Because that's how ridiculous it is. It's like, if you really wanted me to have white privilege, you should be calling me master. Massa will be accepted as well. And then, of course, happy Juneteenth, everybody. I'm glad everybody gets a holiday off now for that it's recognized by the government. That still manages to oppress Native peoples and fuck them through the BLM. God, that's another one. So, oh, that was the other one somebody was talking about. They're like, oh, you know, like sometimes I say racist things or whatever. Like, okay, first of all, everybody's racist. Fuck off. Second of all, look at people who are marginalized and by what governments. And somebody was talking about, you know, how like black people need reparations. And I said, you know, what's funny is, well, the saying goes, I would rather die standing than live on my knees. And I used to make a joke in my stand-up that was talking about, you know, somebody that took that stance literal was the native people, Geronimo. And that's one of the reasons why you see Navajo and Hopi and here in Arizona, Gila River. Shout out to all my peeps on the res. That's why there's reservations, because they fought to the death. Black people do not fight to the death. They go, oh, Patrick, that's insensitive, blah, blah, blah. There are no black casinos. There are no black casinos. There are native casinos, because they were able to bring the world's most powerful army to its knees and to the bargaining table. Black people did not do that. Could they have done that? Probably. Definitely. Could they still do that? Probably, definitely. Will they do that? I don't know. We'll see. I also wanted to show you the cones. These are the, what is it? Yeah, it goes through the specs on what the specs mean as far as height, effective height, diameter hole, blah, blah, blah. They don't really list them, but you can start seeing different rolls. It's hard to tell by the picture, but you can order samples. And a lot of times they won't have the sample in this color. They'll have it on like you say, well, what's it available in right now? Blah, blah, blah. And you can ask. They don't always want to deliver. And sometimes, even though they can make it in a different material or a different color, again, you have to really commit to that color or that material to get the real thing that you want. There's the tall surround. There's like a ribbed version. And then this is also showing cones and surrounds. And also, this is also a die cut, by the way, that you can option or not option. And like this one doesn't have that, right? And that's what I have to option. So it's difficult. Again, my broker sometimes is unmotivated to find me the parts that I want. And so I just have to be patient and then also make, again, small moves, Ellie, small moves on what is good to import and what is not worth import. Or even if I import it, like, can I live with these notches? You know, that sort of thing. I think this is a rubber finish. Again, it's hard to quote out of the book. It's better to get a rep that is willing to send you pictures. I think we have this in both colors. And we did get some of these too, in these real fruity colors. And I have someone that, they look like a Rubbermaid container, like a Rubbermaid garbage can. That's right, they were made for Rockford. And I have the Rockford one, which is a chrome. That one was not real successful. It's hard to assemble, and you got to use a different shim out of the butthole, out of the tailpipe. And so it kind of hinders production. And so they actually abandoned it really quickly. See, and this is a texture that's built into the mold, but this is actually a carbon fiber laminate. You can see that one there. Or I wouldn't say carbon fiber, I'd say glass fiber. Carbon fiber is actually not that prevalent. More of what they do, they like to do glass fiber because the glass, they can dye any color you want. And it looks and functions the same. It's not the carbon that is effective. It's the dope or the resin or the epoxy that they use to bind it is what makes it stronger. You go, oh, Patrick, you know, why you work in carbon fiber? I know, blah, blah, blah. There are different properties that you want in. I'm not saying that they're not available. I'm just saying that you may not want real carbon fiber. Does it look really good? Yes. Is it really expensive? Yes. It has to do with the labor and the molding, things like that. And, you know, when my cost is right around $20 to $30 a cone, guess what it's going to cost you? It's going to cost about $100 to $150 per cone. And that's being nice. Like, that's if I just sell you the cone. Hey, funky pup. If I choose not to sell the cone and you have to buy a whole woofer from me, see how that works? These are all 6x9s. You start getting into cool 6x9s. See, you can withhold that stuff. Oh, weird 4x6s, all kinds of stuff. Spiders, T-yokes, and then these are pretty standard T-yokes. These are actually really great to work with when it's a part that they already make. Tweeter housings. Shit, we're almost at an hour. These are already molded ones, and then you add a screen print to them. This, I believe, is Bazooka. This, of course, is Soundstream. I forget who that is. And, of course, you can't put the Bazooka logo on it. All kinds of gasket colors. I think we have this one in a white and black splash version. And then, of course, many boots that are off the shelf and ready to go. Many grills that are off the shelf. And that's it. That is the XY catalog. I love you guys. I hope you had a good time on today's podcast. Blah, 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 blah. Subscribe, like, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit about all that stuff. I love you guys. Bye.